Hey, everybody.
Woo!
We're here.
We made it.
We
Here we
made it.
go.
We did it. We did it. Welcome, everybody. This is Sign Mountain. This is the Colorado Modular Synth Society September Meetup. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, or whenever you're watching this. Thank you for joining in our monthly meetup. We have a special co-host guest today, Frae-Frae.
Thanks,
Daughter
guys.
Drexia down there.
Daughter Drexia. Hi.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being our, our guest. And then we also have Malo here, who's
Hello,
trying
everybody.
to figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Awesome.
Today's show is all about filters. We have two musical guests. We have Cult of One and Vino, Malo. Today we're going to be playing those. We're going to have an update from Anna Zamir. She's going to talk to us about the synth booth later on. And we have a panel of guests who are going to talk about filters, including Trovarsi. What? That's that. We got.
It's a cultural thing. I'm sorry. It's a Brooklyn.
No, I heard
That's a big up.
That's a big up. A big up. I was going to say their name, and then so Trovarsi and Alex Anderson are also joining us. For sure. Big ups to everybody. I love it. I love it. Awesome. I just didn't know who did that. I was like, was that? Which one are you?
It's just a little piece of Brooklyn I keep on my phone.
There it is. We got Brooklyn. So Brooklyn. Coming live from planet Brooklyn. Yeah, word up. Okay, cool. All right, so I thought we'd start the show off with some music to get us kind of in the mood and start it. So let's play Cult of One's video that she sent in for today's show.
Cult of One.
Cool. We'll mute our mics, and Christoph, if you want to bring that up. I'm sure we'll get it here soon.
Sorry, bring up the video?
Yeah. Oh, I'll keep talking while he sets that up. Okay, so yeah, it's coming up. While you're here, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment underneath and let us know about filters, how you felt about the show, what theme you would like to see us do in future shows, and generally just, how you're feeling. We'd love to have that, and we'll get back to you on that. If you're watching live, join in the chat, ask some questions about filters or any thoughts. If you have any questions you've always wanted to ask, we will definitely try to get to that as well. Awesome. How are we doing on that video?
I can't get to it.
Well, we'll just wait 1 second while we get that set. Let's see. Do I need to try to get to that video?
Yeah, why don't you try? It gives me an error.
I 1 second. All right, you guys talk.
Well, I just want to say it's a real pleasure to be here. And really what I love about my modular family is the way that we can really narrow in and talk about small details. Because, we tend to, when performing, we have a whole signal chain and we just kind of talk about the whole performance. But to narrow something down like a filter and to be able to go into the details today, I think is a really cool thing. So I'm looking forward to geeking out, getting everybody out here in Trovarsi and Ryoko, Cult of One, which is awesome.
Yeah.
AKA Cult of Personality.
Awesome.
Okay, a few more seconds and I should be ready here. Sorry about that.
No, you rock.
It did not work out.
Well, this is, it's live when we're trying to pull up videos from our drives. Frae, so
my favorite quote from you is streaming is harder than modular. Like that is the pandemic t-shirt as far as I'm concerned.
That's funny.
So But I got to give it up to you guys for always trying to keep something going and reaching out and building your community.
Thank
You
you.
know, there's a part
Appreciate
of me that feels like I'm a Colorado family member, and I'm nowhere near
You are.
Colorado.
Totally
So
are. Totally are.
I'm sea level. You guys are not.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, you totally are. And I feel like we have a lot of like folks that don't live in Colorado who are definitely honorary, Colorado Modular Synth Society members. Obviously, like when we started off Colorado, it was one of those things that like we were here, and that was kind of the need at the
Yeah.
time. But as the world has kind of shrunk and expanded in certain ways, it's been pretty awesome to have to drop that border to a certain extent.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, and one of these days you will make it out here,
I know
and
I will. I will. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
yeah, for
Shoot.
sure. And
I'm
I'll make
super
it out to
excited.
Brooklyn too, for sure.
Come on. Come through.
Yeah, I love New York. I have a lot of fond memories, for sure, for sure. Um, let's see. I think we got some videos coming here.
Yeah, we do.
Right. So tell me, while we're waiting for this,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit what's going on with you, so we can kind of catch up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's Sunday, and basically chilling. So it's a little on the crisp side. I don't know what your guys' weather like. It was like 50 or 60. So, but nice afternoon sunshine. So that's my meteorological update. But musically, I think you know that I'm working with a lot of young people creating a new program called Willie Mae Future Sounds through the Willie Mae Rock Camp for Girls, working with girls and gender nonconforming young people and learning about synth, social justice, and sound design, basically. And looking at modular and different ways, some coding. And it's been interesting trying to like traverse this through the pandemic, but thank God for online.
Yeah.
Are we ready with this video?
Yes, I think we are.
We are?
Right.
Here we go. Cult
All
of
right.
One. That was a really great intro. I liked the transition at the beginning, and the real just felt use of silence is very dynamic.
Yeah.
And
So heavy. All right, let's try it again.
here we go.
All right. Let us know when you got it, Christoph. He's over there, busily typing away. No pressure. He's under pressure. That's all good. Thank you, everybody, for being so patient and being so awesome as we traverse the world of live streaming.
No, you guys bring the love, and it all comes from the heart. So
Yeah.
that's what's
Thank you. I
up.
appreciate it.
Of course.
Word. Well, we can. Let me try.
There's something in the chat, the private chat.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
see. I think I can do that. Let me try this.
Trovarsi, I'm the technical assist. It's a 4-person signal chain.
It's true. It's true.
Love it.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. I think you're muted,
Yeah.
David. Oh, okay. Or was that muted talk?
No, it has muted talk. Yeah, that's just me. Like it's a bunch of Grolix. Like quit that. That wouldn't work.
Oh, I hear that. What was I going to say?
Technical difficulties.
Technical
Sorry about that. I
difficulties.
don't know why it's not playing.
It's playing. It's just super muffled.
Super muffled.
Someone says it sounds like it's coming through a seashell. That's an artistic choice. No,
That's pretty amazing.
So why don't you? I'm gonna drop out real quick and troubleshoot, and
All right.
you just go.
I
with
hear
the show.
Michael Dewberry says hiss is a sound that rocks. Sound. Hiss is a sound. Hello, Surging Mass.
All right.
Hello,
I'll be right
Kip. If I don't know you guys, hello, Ephonic. Lillian Primrose, hi. It's really great to see everybody. This is what I love. I love the love in the chat. You know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let's try.
Frae.
Great. Listen,
Good afternoon.
I have an idea.
Yes,
I have an idea.
what's your idea?
We're gonna bring in Raiku, and we're gonna talk about it. And then when people see it, we'll have some context of what she's working on. Because you know what? Because I would love to talk to her anyhow. So I'm gonna bring her in. Yo,
Ryoko.
Hi.
So sorry. This is like we wanted to have you on after we play it, but we're gonna just flip the script and have you on before we play it.
Cool. I sent you guys a few different links. It's live on my YouTube channel now, so people can go watch it there. And then I sent a few Google Drive doc links for different versions of the file. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, well, Christoph is in the back trying to figure out how to make it go, for sure.
Do you want to talk about your patch and give us some heads up about it before we check it out?
Yeah, sure. So it's actually, that hiss is a sample from Rain.
So the hiss, it was the sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and cool. It's a 26-minute track. So like it builds up pretty slow on the first half, and it takes 4 minutes to get to where it's going. The patch is going through this kind of cheap made in China reverb that I bought. It's called Sky Surfer. I blew this though doing the patch. So, and you can kind of hear it was dying during the show.
Awesome.
Going through that is chords from a pocket operator.
That's where the melodic content was coming from.
Yeah, and then it's going through the cow on my OP1.
Okay.
And then that all gets looped around and then goes into the dual FX of my techno system. Right. And then it's going through two different, another reverb and then a delay. And and then I have another group of drums that come into the back, but you can't tell there's drums there because they're being like resampled 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So, and then that's like the whole patch to kind of just get like subharmonics kind of crashing into each other and whatnot. There's a part like 10 or 12 minutes in where you hear like, it sounds like people are talking, but there's no sample of people talking anywhere on there.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool. I love it. We might be able to play it. Trovarsi says she might be able to play it from her end. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, because I want everybody here. I checked it out, and it's this big piece. We're only gonna play like about 10 minutes of it, but for sure, head over to Raiko's your YouTube, and we'll drop a link in there as well. So if you want to make sure we have the right link, and we'll drop it in the chat so people can go subscribe, and do that for sure, and then check out the whole piece for sure. And then sweet. All right, cool. Trovarsi is gonna give it a shot. So let me just pull in Trovarsi real quick. Yo, Trovarsi.
Yay!
Yo, what's up?
For sure.
I'm all right. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, this
here's everybody.
Yeah.
The whole gang's
Interesting day
here.
today.
Hey,
Sorry about
Frequency
that.
Haven.
Yeah, word.
Hey.
All right.
So
So
let me share. Hang on 1 second here.
click there.
Sorry.
What was that? What was that pedal you blew out? The Sky Surfer?
Yeah, so it was the Sky Surfer Reverb by TC Electronic. And so I bought this on just one of those weird outings to Guitar Center, which I totally regret every time. I was telling the guy, I was like, so I've got a Euro rack and I'm looking for some pedals that can handle Euro rack. And of course the guy was like, this one will do it. And I was like, I've never seen that pedal anywhere before. And so I bought it because it was like $20. And I used it a few times and it worked fine. And then it died. It just stopped working. A little smoke came out of it. And I was like, well, that's dead.
That's all. And that happened during this set.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hot. Just leave it all in the set. That's it. Burn it down.
Yeah. I think the voices you will hear like halfway through it are probably it legitimately asking me to let
up. Awesome. All right, cool. Let's try this. There we go.
Take 3. We got this.
Take 3. Oh, sweet. We got to play.
Nice.
I'm so happy.
Yay.
Oh,
Good team.
Sorry
Right.
about that.
That is not the whole video, everybody. That is just like a little snippet of the whole performance, which I hope you go over to Cult of One's YouTube and make sure you watch the whole thing because it's deep. It builds up, takes its time, goes into some cool spaces. So I'm so glad we got a chance to hear that, and I appreciate that. You putting up with us. Sorry about that so much, Michael.
I'm just glad it got working. Like for a second there, I was like, "Oh no, is YouTube crashing today?"
That would be our luck.
Yeah, that would be tough, but yeah.
YouTube punishes
So
everybody.
we did hear some of that reverb in there, of that pedal that got destroyed by this.
Yeah, I just took it apart, and I'm like trying to find out where it burnt out, and I'm just.
That's okay.
I'm so
I think
confused.
somebody said a good idea would be to circuit bend it, so it can only go up from here.
That's right.
Yeah. It can only go up from here.
That's awesome. That's rad. That's awesome.
Oh man.
So when I asked you to do a performance for the show, we were talking about the filter stuff. So what were you kind of thinking about as far as the signal flow for the filter part?
So yeah, so like when we were first talking about it, I was like, okay, then I'll just like do a set of just filters. Plus I'm working on my new album, so I was kind of like, I need some more ambient kind of drone stuff in there. And this was just sitting collecting dust, and I was like, well, this is a filter. And then there was like all these filters on the OP1, and then my Dual FX has 8 filters on each channel. So I was like, I have a whole entire, guitar pedal box of things I can use. So I just basically figured out kind of like, okay, I'll take the chords from my pocket operator, which also has filters and FX built into it. And then I'll turn those filters on, create a percussion line and a chord line, and then I'll make some percussion chord lines on my OP1, and then I'll just refilter all that like 2 or 3 times through the same loop into the dual FX and dual drive of my techno system, and we'll see what comes out. And I tried it like 6 or 7 times before I settled on the video that I gave you guys. So it was like 4 or 5 hours of just like playing, and that's what we got. It's pretty amazing, and I think that the recycling is what this thing couldn't handle.
Well,
I love it.
Sounded cool. Very atmospheric.
Yeah, I love it. And I love that you thought about like all the different filters that are in all the other things we have. And it's funny. You're right. Like I actually really do like the filters in the pocket operators. It's got that cool, kind of a cool like
swelty.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
It creates really interesting kind of waveforms that crash into other waveforms, so then it cancels parts of other ones out. And then like later in this set, there's like some like weird talking stuff that starts happening. And then I've also got 6 filters built into my mixer. So I basically you might see it occasionally on there. I'm switching from like hall to room to plate, and then back up to hall again to like expand it. So I just like went a little crazy and was like, okay, let's just see how many filters I can put on top of each other before the sound stops.
That's awesome. Which is great. And yeah, I think a lot of people have seen you do a lot of techno sets, but obviously you do more than just techno.
Yeah, like I thought about just doing a techno set and just being like, man, we'll just do some techno. But then I was like, how many, because you always hear in techno, you hear like that, like that comes out, like it's the same filter everybody kind of uses, like to transition. It'll be like, shh, like it's like a riser almost. And I was like, that's all that people are expecting with techno. So I was like, let's just like take a step back and like the beginning scene of Fantasia, like let's just go to that where the gargoyle is like flying around and everything. I was like, let's redo that like if I was on the board for the Fantasia movie.
Okay. Wow.
All right. I'm feeling that.
That. Great image.
Hollywood, if you're gonna redo Fantasia, You got the person to redo it. Let's make it darker.
Darker.
Well, it's funny because Fantasia, when it originally came out, bombed, and then Fantasia 2000 bombed as well because it was too scary for kids.
Yeah, that's true.
The gargoyle scene and the hippopotamus scene. Like, I feel like if I got signed onto that, it would bomb a third time. They'd be like, Fantasia's done.
Not to date myself, but I saw the first like in the theater when I was a kid, and you're right, it did scare me.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I mean, I liked it, but I was scared. Those brooms.
I didn't understand it. Yeah, I saw it in the theater too. Not to date myself either, but anyway, we just did though.
Yeah.
They're like, don't look at this because the devil was flying around, and they're like, oh, and I was like, what is happening?
No, it's awesome. It is pretty intense. It's definitely intense. Yeah, that the Thunder Mountain. That's not what it's called. It's called something else. But yeah, it's I tried showing my kids, and they were like, can we just do Goofy's Mickey Mouse house thing instead? Like,
let's watch the Goofy movie with Pauly Shore.
Exactly.
Like, I think if you saw Fantasia as a kid, you own a Euro rack now.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how you get into dark ambient goth music, the whole thing.
Right.
Nice.
Thanks, Disney. Thanks,
Yeah.
Walt.
Walt.
Hey, well, so before you go, I know you got a lot of things going on. You mentioned you have the album coming, which is awesome. So make sure people go check out your Bandcamp and follow you there. And do you have any more performances? And also,
So I've got something with Houston Module coming up in a few weeks, and then I just signed up for Res, so that's coming up in a few weeks. And then tonight, actually, I have my first radio show on 614 Columbus, so that's on my Instagram. The link is there, and it's not a techno show. Another friend of mine from Frequency Shift, Moxie, she's already got a modular techno show. So I'm actually doing goth music. So I'm just doing some disc jockeying. And every Sunday from, I think it's 9 to 10, I will be playing the best in goth, industrial, and dark wave.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm all over the place now.
Yeah, you're DJing, you're doing live shows, and you're working on albums. You're definitely keeping busy. That's awesome. All the more reason why people should be following you and definitely like keeping track of all the things you're doing, because you're doing a lot of awesome stuff. So it's great to see you again.
Very cool.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Nice seeing you.
Word. All right. Awesome. Thanks for popping by. Awesome.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Awesome. Rad. Well, we had a little bit of a slow start there and a little bumpy, a little bumpy, but whatever. We're here. So thank you everybody for sticking around and checking out Cult of One's performance there. Trovarsi's here. That was gonna be the surprise. I mean, I guess it wasn't a big surprise, but I mentioned it. But Trovarsi's already here, so thank you for being here. Also joining us to talk about filters is Alex Anderson, who, let's see, let me pull him up real quick. Who's coming from? You're gonna love this. Hold on. There's Alex.
What's up, everybody?
Serious?
Hey.
Coming
from the green.
Live from.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
He's gonna be like coming in and out. So
in Longmont, Colorado. Just enjoying my Sunday, hanging out with y'all.
Nice. How are you doing?
Yeah. What do you?
I'm doing
what
good.
do you?
That performance.
Putting? Oh, I.
What am I hitting? Not well.
Yeah.
So that's fine. This isn't about golf. This is about filters. And yeah, I'm definitely filtering out all the high scores. I think we need low scores because it's golf, right?
You got the low score filter.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like a nice day out here in Colorado, so I get why you're spending some time outside.
I just had to make it outside. Sometimes you need some extra inspiration. And just being outside and hanging out with your friends. And we don't get to do that too much these days. So sometimes you just got to take advantage of it and say yes when someone asks you to do something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Word. Well, I appreciate you coming and joining us from the links. It's
of course.
It's fun. It's fun. I don't think anybody else has done a show live from from a golf course to talk about modular. But hey,
yeah, I don't know if it's a very popular thing. I don't know if anyone's done that yet. It's a first.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it'll be first. I'm sure everyone will be doing it in the future, and it'll just be a thing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, awesome. So yeah, so we are just gonna just geek out about filters today. And I thought would be kind of interesting to talk about, and I hope everybody here can help me. Is kind of to start off on the get go. We might have some people watching who are just getting into synthesizers or Eurorack or coming from synthesizers into Eurorack, and maybe never thought about the structure inside their keyboard, about what's going on there with the whole filter section and why it's kind of important and interesting for sound design and stuff. So let's just talk about the basic 101 filters. I'm sure everyone here has had to kind of explain filters to somebody. So how would you all describe what's the basic, what's a filter? How would you answer that? Sorry,
I would say it has a way, it carves or shapes harmonics out of sound waves. So it's a way of shaping harmonics.
Yeah.
Affecting the sound. I don't know. What would you say, Trovarsi?
Same, like shaping sound.
Shaping sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
For me, it's mainly about removing sound.
For
a long time, I thought about a filter as a device to remove sound. High sound, low sound.
Right.
Interesting. That's kind of like a half empty, half full kind of look.
Yeah, it's like, are you trying to get to the sounds that you want or take out the sounds that you don't want, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It depends on the type of filter, but yeah, I think it does all that.
Yeah. So if you're new to filters, you might be asking yourself what's the difference, but so you have your high pass, your low pass, and you have your band pass, and then you have some other ones, and we'll get to the other wild cool ones that they're all cool, but the other interesting ones. But at the core of it, I think most people, when they buy a basic filter or they open up their synth, they're going to see those three choices.
And Lillian made a good point too. Resonance can add sound. Yeah, so adds the harmonics.
Right. Yeah. Right. You kind of emphasize that.
That's right.
That part. Yeah. So again, for the new folks there, so a lot of times people will be patching up low pass filters with for bassy sounds to remove that top end, right? And then for that, maybe in some other applications there's not bass lines, you want to not have that bottom end, so you'll use the band pass or high pass filters. So that's the kind of a basic kind of rundown. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So let's if someone want to take a stab at just a real basic subtractive synth, where does the filter fall in for a basic subtractive synth patch? I don't want to be the only one saying it.
Alex. I can't tell what Alex.
Filters for me.
Are you in there? Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I see you. I saw your mouth moving earlier. And I was like, I think he's trying to say something.
Yeah, I think I was probably telling someone where my ball was.
Hey,
we're good. Thank you.
It's in the lake. It's in the lake.
So as far as me, I kind of have two different reasons for using them. One is for the voice, because I like to make bass lines and use an oscillator, then a filter, then a VCA, just a standard subtractive voice. And then I use secondary filters for just kind of EQing and making things fit in different places. So I was using a 303 at my set the other night, and I had a 303 clone playing, and then I had that going through an aperture before it hit the delay. And then I was able to just use the aperture to high pass and low pass the 303 to make it fit in the mix, because it wasn't the focal point. It was kind of a background thing that needs to be swirling in the delays. So I would just put that. I always have that kind of deal. And then, DJing makes me always have to have a filter on my master where I can basically cut out the lows and cut out the highs whenever I want. And the big reason for doing that is to give everybody's ears a break. In dance music and techno, we're all about sounds and culture, so we're all about loud sounds, and that's really great. But at the same time, like, you need to respect your ears and respect your audience's ears. And so that's one of the reasons why people freak out when people bring the kick drum back in, because it's like they're almost thankful for the break but also stoked to get back into it. And so filtering for me is like, those are my three kind of ways of using it. And sometimes I'll use a bandpass like for a delay or something to kind of shape it, but it's like, three things: the voice, EQing, and then the master effects.
Right, for like transitioning and things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's like my first like real experience with filtering is like in DJ situations and using that DJ style like filters that cut it out and do drops and stuff like that before I knew what that was, for sure. Yeah. I think that's kind of like the basics. I don't know if anybody had any questions. Let me check. YouTubes. Yeah.
YouTubes.
The YouTube chats.
I'm gonna look on YouTube too.
Yeah. So one thing, one thing that I was going to ask everybody. Before I knew what that was.
My bad.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry. Just look at here. Yeah. So people are talking about like different. Moog has a patent on about the description of how their filter works. So if you wanted to like really dive into the geekiness, you could go there for sure. Yeah, but someone was talking about like other filters on, Moog and other classic synths, and that's something I kind of also want to talk about too. Is those famous filters like that we've heard about or know about. So, this talk is about filters and how it applies to Eurorack, but obviously like. We also have filters in, like Raiko said, in even in our pocket operators and other synths. So they all kind of like they all kind of relate to each other for sure. And I think like it's interesting to see how people are wanting to do clones of famous filters. But I want to kind of like take a step back and just talk about those famous filters and what are they and what makes them so great. So. Anybody have any like famous filters that they're keen on?
You're talking Moog?
Yeah. Is it Moog for you? I mean, is it ARP? Is it
Yeah, I mean Moog for me. I messed around with like Moog synths before I started getting into Eurorack. So those filters were sort of like my gateway into shaping the sounds of the semi-modular patches.
Yeah. Which Moog did you have? Which filter do you remember?
Well, I mean, I own a grandmother, but I've been in studios that have had like old school Moogs and messed around with them and stuff like that in recording studios.
Yeah.
Christoph, where are you?
He's coming.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I had to swap out my mic, sorry.
I hit the wrong button, sorry.
That's okay.
Did you pull me in?
Everybody's in and out.
Yeah, everyone's in and out.
I know. I was trying to fix my audio, and now it's better.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
sorry.
Cool. We were talking.
Trovarsi put me on the spot. Is that you wanted an answer from me on the filter? Is that?
Well, we're talking about famous filters and what makes them sound the way they are. So Frae-Frae was talking about the Moog filter, and I know like that's kind of famous as like the ladder filter.
Yeah.
The ladder filter, that's right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
the
that
wasps.
The
Wasps too.
MS-20 filter. Oh, wasp. Yeah, the wasp.
Yeah.
So the Wasson. So let's. What does anybody know? Like what is that? What's the ladder filter? Like when people say like what are we talking about there? Alex, do you know? Can you talk about that? About the ladder filter?
I am not a technical person.
Yeah.
With that kind of stuff. So basically, the architecture of synthesizers are for ladder filters is transistors, and so that's like the core component of that. And then with classic filters, I think the thing to really talk about is that there's different architectures, and those were all started by being inside of synthesizers, right, and being a part of a voice. And now with Eurorack, we can make voices, we can make multiple voices, but these kind of these filters really were the character of these different synths, and it's that information is all out there and very easy to find of exactly what the circuits are and the parts. So, but I think that characteristics is what I've always been drawn to, right? So the ladder filter, everybody talks about it being warm and fat, and that's kind of those are hard words to describe. I think they mean that different. That's a big thing, and there's ladder filters in a lot of stuff, and I don't really know what the architectures are for Oberheim or for Buchla or for Roland. I don't know what all the differences are, but in characteristics, they talk about in polyphonic synths, you can get filters that are, too fat because now you're trying to add 6 sounds on top of each other, and you've just got too much presence,
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as the parts go, I don't really know, but I could talk all day about characteristics and things and why I would use one to fit into certain kinds of sounds and things like that.
It's true. Like I think about how I want something to sound. I'm not thinking like, oh, I want to manipulate this pole with a diode kind of approach. You know what I mean? Like it's
right.
You know, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think that way either. I look for more of a sound and what works for me to shape that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think many people do. I mean, I think that it's really that's an engineering way of looking at it, and really, if you really want to know what's happening in all the inside of things, that's awesome. And then as far as the artistry goes, I think that everybody here that I'm talking to is definitely all about the sound.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have one thing to kind of mention is, inside of Eurorack, how much do you want to have these emulations as a part of your sound and things like that? Because does anyone here use a Moog style, a ladder style filter that's supposed to be called a Moog filter in their setup?
I don't. But so. I have been interested in. I will say that I have been interested in lately. I've been kind of more interested in some other filters, but yeah, I mean, just out of curiosity, because I'll never buy a Moog because I don't have the money for it, not because I don't like them or the space, but I could imagine someone else out there might be interested in that. They want that one part or piece that made that sound. So
yeah,
there's that.
And you can find filters in really cool places. I have this Korg Monotron.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it actually has a replica of the MS-20 filter in it.
Oh wow.
And it sounds really buttery. You can put external sound. It has an aux input, so you can actually feed sound through it. Mm-hmm. External sound. And that's one of the nicest filters that I have, actually.
Yeah.
It's in this little thing. So.
Yeah. The MS-20 is a sweet sounding
Yeah, you can find a lot of DIY ones that emulate it too.
Yeah, Abe's company has that.
The AI.
AI. They do a MS-20 DIY.
Yeah, I built that filter actually. And it's not that difficult of a build.
That's
Sounds
awesome.
pretty good.
Yeah, actually, like kind of jumping ahead a little bit because I did want to talk about DIY, but yeah, there is, when we're talking about a lot of clones, there are tons of DIY options for filters for sure. I feel like there's like a really like a large abundant and I see people like sometimes who are getting into building their own like from scratch from schematics. Like everyone's mentioning that stuff's online somewhere, so it seems like a good jumping off point for people who want to really get into DIY stuff to like build a filter.
I think so. I was trying to kind of comb back through the chat to see if there are any questions, and somebody mentioned about the volts per octave on some of the filters, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that have to do with like self oscillation, and then you can.
We were talking about this last night, right? About using a filter as a sound source.
And then you can track volts per octave. I think.
Right.
Yeah. So there's two reasons for volt per octave.
Yeah.
Like, and one is going to be, like you said, using it as a sound source. So like you can create a sine wave basically, and the characteristic, there's a ball there. The characteristic of your of your filter will come through. I love you guys. Thank you so much for putting up with me. And the characteristic of your filter will come through with self oscillation. You will hear the kind of distortion and things like that. And so that is one great reason for volt per octave. The other reason, I did a video relatively recently with Carbon that you can see on WMD's YouTube channel, where I explain it. And the main reason why they started putting it on it back in the day was because when you use a filter and you filter like a low pass, let's say, the higher pitch you go, you start actually filtering out the fundamental and you start not being able to hear the note anymore. And so for volt per octave, that's what it's also called key tracking on most of your synthesizers. And most of the times with your synths, it's going to have like some sort of attenuation on it. But when it's just straight volt per octave, you might want to attenuate a little bit. But the whole point is so that the filter's tracking with you. So the higher you go up, it lets more high frequencies through. The lower you go, especially when you have resonance, the more it emphasizes the low frequencies. So it's all about being able to hear the sound no matter where you are on the register of the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely something that worth to try like patching up and seeing the difference between using a volt per octave and multing that out and putting that into the filter. It's pretty sweet because I saw that video and I tried it out, and it's cool because if you find that sweet spot, you don't lose it as you go up an octave, whatever. So you kind of keep it. Yeah, you kind of keep with it. Yeah, and then another thing you can kind of do if you really want to get weird with it is send it a different sequence, and then you've got some strange, like you have your sequence going, and then you're sending it another an alternative pitch sequence through that volt per octave, and you'll get some strangeness too. Maybe not always musical, but definitely like interesting.
Kip Schwinger in the chat was asking about anybody have any favorite bad filters, cheap, crappy sounding but endearing or creative boosters. I just built actually on Trovarsi's Meetup. I built the Plague Bearer Flight of Harmony Plague Bearer filter during your soldering session.
Yeah, I remember.
That is one of my favorite sound shaping devices. You can take the sine waves that are from my 4MS SMR and put them through that thing, and it distorts and it screeches, and I love that. And it's a filter. It's a low pass and a high pass, I think, in series, and you can tweak it, and it's a fantastic sound shaping tool. It doesn't always sound good, but it sounds really interesting.
Squelchy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have a bad one. I've had a Morpheus, the Rosin electronic Morpheus.
Oh,
And that one has like a zillion filters on there. And I was definitely using some of the filters incorrectly. I could tell by the way it was coming back at me. I'm like, I don't think I'm doing this right. But it's funny because he does have these presets for percussion. He has all these percussion filters. So if you wanted to run a snare through there or something like that, like what Alex was talking about, using it like an EQ to kind of like balance it, there's that. But I was trying to I was like, well, let's put a bass line through the percussion preset, which had its effects.
right.
Yeah, I mean, Rossum, that thing is definitely more of a resonator. And what we talk about with filters is that, we're talking a lot about cutting, and there are filters that add. And when you add frequencies or when you add gain at a certain frequency, you start to resonate that frequency.
Right.
And so when you have like 5 of those in a row, all on different, linking with the harmonics, that's how you get sounds that are similar to like marimbas and things like that. So like what you're talking about, David.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorites is, I wouldn't say it's a bad filter at all, but it's the Dofer, the A127. It is a resonance filter, and I love that thing. Like, especially with the LFOs on it, I can run like a bass line through it and still get that bass line, and then all of a sudden you'll hear this top end sort of getting kind of like this wobble sound, like a really high, like wobbly sound on top of it. I don't know. It's just interesting. I like it. I like that one because you can really kind of dial it in, and like Alex was saying, like grab those certain frequencies, but then you use the LFO then too to kind of modulate that within that frequency too. So
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and with we Scalpel is our EQ and kind of our morphing filter, and when I say morphing, the idea. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I just got it in the mail. I'm excited.
Oh, dope! Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. Morphing, the kind of idea is to morph from a preset to another preset smoothly, and have the filter kind of change the parameters for you. So you set up a point A and a point B, and then when you turn the knob, you can get to point B, and that's the idea of morphing. And with Scalpel, it's kind of similar to a simulator, where you can boost frequencies or cut them at certain spots. You can actually choose with Scalpel, more like an EQ. And, using an EQ is really nice because you can just say, you boost frequencies to find the ones you don't like, and then you can cut them out. And so you can use that as an effect or just as a sculpting tool, whatever you need.
Yeah, we've been talking about that one. Me and David, I've been stalking it slowly because I always end up with a lot of low end in my and it's like I'm having one experience in my headphones, but then when I want to record it, it's more than what I need. But I'm looking at the Scalpel actually to do some EQing for that reason.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun one because you can use it as a filter, like for creative uses, and like mess around with it and CV it and do all this crazy stuff. And then like, oh no, my bass and my kick are just my bass line and my kick are just hurting each other, and so it's like they're stomping on each other's frequency bands, and that's when you say, okay, like I want to cut. I always take lows out of my bass most of the time, so that way my kick drum can shine through, because that's just what I prefer. But then you can get bored and be like, all right, let's just mess around and make a ton of different filters, throw some sample and hold in the CV input and just see what happens. So that's that's a fun way to do it. I'm excited.
I'm gonna try all those suggestions.
Yeah. As far as bad filters, I mean, one of my favorite filters is the Ableton auto filter. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
I have to, I need filters, and I just sometimes I need to EQ something, but rather than EQing it, I'll just take all the lows out and just high pass it. And that thing works really well. And if you didn't know, there's buttons inside it that change its character. So you can have kind of different sounding filters as well for subtle changes. But I don't know, as far as Eurorack stuff, I don't have anything to say about bad filters. I think everything is great for its own
I think
thing.
it was more.
People
The
say
bad
the ARP.
thing was, sorry, the
You
bad
know?
was referring to like specific sound, not necessarily the quality of
Yeah,
of the manufacturer.
But you know, I think I get that.
There was a question in the chat. I think it was Adam asked. He was saying, "How do we get the help me out?" I think he was asking.
How do we get the low end restored?
Yeah.
Some of the filters take out the low, like, so, you know, that's. I think that.
Yeah, so we should talk about that. For
Yeah.
Sure.
So like one thing this may not be the only answer to it, but so we were talking about like classic filters. We were talking about the MS-20, and one thing that's really cool about the MS-20 is that it's dual VCF filter structure, and it runs in series. And I've been kind of like looking at all those tutorials of people doing stuff on there to kind of get ideas about what to do on my rack, because I have a dual VCF. And one thing I've noticed to get like a fat sound and still have that is to run that signal through a high pass first and kind of attenuate that. I mean, accent that low end with the high pass, then run that through the low pass. So I think there's some really cool things you can do with running filters in series to kind of make sure you keep some of that sound. But if his questions is like, you know, you're taking out the high end and then, you know, you're losing your low end, then that might be a solution. Might be running something in parallel. That's a thought.
Interesting.
Yeah, Kip Schwinger suggested just if you have an oscillator that outputs multiple waveforms, you can take the sine out and mix it back in.
Yeah, subs come in real big. Yeah, if you have a sub.
Jackie's been playing this. That's something I'm like really trying to work on, is maybe even separate sequencing of a sine wave, but just, you know, just sub stuff outside of the normal baseline, and then you can high pass just a little bit to let that come through more. And yeah, it's I always put my high passes in after the VCA. That's where I go. But
you always put what after the VCA?
I always put the high pass after the VCA.
Okay.
But like what Trovarsi just said, or drive it, I'd never say that. Because I'm like always trying to go clean. I'm always trying to make things sound precise and like whatever. We have lots of drive available, but that's the part that I always forget about and don't really take advantage of. There's an art for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Then that way you can hit that harmonic and still use the filter to carve out some of the low end, but you're really actually then accenting the harmonic frequency above the original note. So I don't know. I would try that.
Yeah. I have seen, I know of a few handful of filters that do have a drive built into it. And there's definitely like a sound for that too. I mean, I think people who do guitar stuff and pedal stuff know that combination as well of running drive and then, you know, some kind of filtering there for sure. So yeah, patch that up. Let us know if that works. That'd be cool. I love patch ideas like that. It's cool.
There's a module by Shackmat that it's just high pass. It's just that's all it does, and so that way you can just by patching into that you can immediately cut out some of that low end and before you actually start from there, like start it from the base patch, if that makes sense. Like
yeah. I have seen that, and I think it's passive, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a high pass at like I think 25 or 30 hertz or something like that.
Yeah.
It's when I started playing out, I was using clouds a lot, and clouds can really run away on you in that low end. Where in the headphones or at home, I had no idea that anything of that occurred. And then we showed up at Freak Boutique, and Alex's PA, it was jumping off the ground next to me because it was all shaking. The entire bar was shaking. And so for a while, I actually started bringing an EQ, like a banjo rack EQ that I could just drop. You know, I started dropping frequencies until the shaking stopped. So, but that module looks pretty nice.
Yeah, definitely like if you can do some kind of spectral analysis of your music, because your headphones are going to pick up on all that, like all that energy at the bottom, and and there's a couple mutable instruments modules. I know the Elements does the same thing. It's got this low end to it that if you have good headphones, you may pick up on it, but if you do a live set, you're like, whoa, what is all that? And it just muddies it all up. So that's when like having an EQ
some mixers just have high paths on them, like a lot of big live consoles for like touring acts and stuff like that. A lot of those just have a high pass filter like at 80, because it's like, do you want this person to hit the subs or not? And I think of I try and think of my voices as exactly like that. Who's playing what? You know, I've got a drummer, I've got two like strings, and then I've got a bass, you know, and so I try and fit them in. And sometimes you just have stuff where you don't want to hit the subs, and Shackmat has that high pass filter that's just like just so it doesn't touch the subs, and that's just a good thing to practice and know, like, oh, this doesn't need to hit that, so I just won't let it.
Yeah. It actually has two filters. It has a 30 hertz and 100 hertz.
That's
so
right.
That's actually even more. Somebody in chat mentioned that, so that's true.
That's cool.
I'll post the link in the chat.
I started using this filter by IO Instruments. It's really fun, and it actually has a button on there too that has a high pass on it, and I think it's 150 hertz. Don't and that I could pull it up, but I like that because it. Someone said you broke it. How did you break it?
Yeah, I thought you did break that. I thought you did a set with that. Oh no, that was a BIA you broke. No wait,
well, I didn't. Yeah. I tried to break it. It didn't actually break.
Unbreakable.
But I love that filter. Actually, it has a lot of character, and on top of that, it does have that button where it'll just kind of cut out that frequency for you. You can toggle it. I believe you can even CV it too, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, anybody's done like any like DJ and stuff, there's always like good DJ mixes will have that little those cut buttons, you know, and that's super helpful, especially for transitions and stuff. But also, it's really interesting. It's really great when you're going to throw it into, say, like a reverb or delay, and you don't want that bottom end to be, you know, mucking up the reverb or having that boom 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 go into the delay, and then just get crazy. I mean, sometimes you do. You know, for some of us, like, you know, more experimental, less definitely there's some cool stuff that happened there.
Like, you can take another one.
Yeah.
You know,
the aphonic, I did that to my Shackmat. He said he broke it. I broke it. Well, because I didn't see the little dot. I didn't put my glasses on, and I sort of knew. I kind of just did it, and you know, when you plug something in and you're kind of hesitant, you question yourself. So I was like quick on the power button, but I didn't catch it on time. But Justin thankfully fixed it for me.
That's funny. I'm gonna ask you guys a question.
Sure.
Okay.
What is the most underrated filter? There are so many filters. If I go to Modular Grid and I just do, you know, all and do filters, there's over 946 entries in there. I mean, I could filter it down by like the currently available, and that still brings it down to like 500 or something like that. But that has a lot of filters, and there has to be some that people just don't talk about, or just kind of like everyone's focused on these, you know, main filters that we've heard about. But what would you say are like as an underrated filter?
I would circle back to Dofer filters, and
Me too.
Yeah, not the wasp. I mean, everybody kind of knows about that, but just like, for example, the A127 filter. I mean, like, yeah.
Or the A102.
Yep.
I feel like the A102 is also kind of underrated.
Yeah.
Are we looking at the?
Yeah, I was pulling it up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, because that. So one thing I did, yeah, the Dofers. I think it's funny because I saw somebody mention this in our Facebook group about they were like, oh, I just getting started. All I have is a Dofer, and I'm like, that's still a good filter. It's just, it's not as sexy or as brand new as some of the other new ones.
Right.
But it's still good. And to your earlier comment, like there's, you know, for example, the Wasp is an emulation one.
I love the Wasp.
Yeah.
Oh, the Sergi Massive Polaris filter.
Oh, Polaris.
Yeah. That's one's kind of like IntelliGels, Polaris, yeah. Some of it's kind of interesting how like when you first get into Eurorack, there's these filters you hear everybody talking about, and then new stuff comes out, and then you kind of forget about it, and then they just kind of drop off, which is interesting. I was thinking about what's that?
The aperture, W&B aperture. I don't hear a lot of people talk about that, but it's really awesome as a sound shaping tool beyond just filtering. You can have it stored stuff. There's like a variable feedback knob on it, and it can sound really gnarly. There's a volts per octave input, so I love that one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite filters too, and I think that it's definitely a little underrated. It's it's a little expensive, but it's a nice piece, and like you said, Christoph, it's really nice to use for sound shaping or as a part of your voice, whatever you need. I've also been, as far as filters, with like you said, with the Doper stuff, never underestimate the Doper stuff. Yeah, as far as trying to think underrated too. But yeah, aperture for sure. And then anything old, like right now we just put out Carbon, but don't forget that MMF is still an awesome filter. And I think that
I have 2 of those.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I had like 3 and now I have 4 Carbons just because I love them. And then Pull Zero too. Pull Zero is an amazing filter with saturation. And I'm sorry that my knowledge is very limited to mostly WMD stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, it's those are the ones that I don't think that people remember or hear about too often.
Somebody in the chat says Tip Top Audio Forbidden Planet. Can you pull that one up?
Tip Top, yeah.
I pull it up. That's a cool one too. Yeah, I remember hearing the sound videos from that as well. Yeah. Oops. I gotta sorry over here. Yeah, that's a good one.
Trying with this.
Yeah. I have the Pull Zero. It is totally awesome. It's rad. But it's funny, like I didn't even, just thinking about like the other filters that are in some of the stuff like there's definitely that.
The Jove.
The Jove, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was always wondering, like, are people still like jazzed about like ripples and stuff like that? I mean, I feel like that's a popular one. I see the studio electronic stuff in there in people's racks, but I don't hear about it too much. I don't know. Like, are people feeling that?
I have no idea.
All right. Let's see what people are saying. Oh, the dual Borg. Yeah, what about the Borg stuff? Yeah.
Fixed filter banks.
Yeah, question on that because I don't know a lot about the fixed filter bank stuff. Anybody mess around with the fixed filter bank stuff?
Let's see.
You kind of the RMS SMR is kind of, you can use it as that.
You
can resonate things, but you can also use it as an EQ, kind of to. It has these 6 bands.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd love to try one of those. They're like huge HP.
Oh yeah, they're
filter banks. What is that? Frap Audio has one, I think.
Frap has one. Verbos has one.
Are you pulling it up right now? And
I'm looking at. Oh yeah,
I see it over here.
Has one. Dofer has a fixed filter bank. What's the deal with fixed filter banks?
I don't know, but that's a thing too.
Some of them are huge though.
That's the thing. Like when you ask me like what kind of filters I like the little ones, you know, because it's like I'm looking at a minimal size. I'm trying to keep my case at a certain HP, so it's like if it's 4 HP, I'm gonna check it out, you know.
Yeah.
So to be honest, that's part of how I choose.
Sound. Definitely a big part of it for me too.
Oh, Lillian mentioned the
601.
Yeah, I haven't tried
the red
that
one up there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's serious business. It's cool. I mean, I hear you. Like I also want to be conscious of like the space and of stuff like that. But I every once in a while will swap out something large just for that sound design stuff.
Right.
I totally would. I would play with one of these filter banks all day long just to see what I get out of it. It might not make my performance case, but looking at them and going, there are so many inputs and outputs, which is like I can make such great spaghetti with that, you know?
Yeah.
Definitely. And I just don't have any experience doing that. So if you are a filter bank head, you know, pop up and pop in the chat stream. I like to hear. Come through. Yeah. I want to see how those are being used for sure. It's kind of interesting. And maybe there's maybe you can clarify if you all know this, but like where does like filtering, when do we stop calling it a filter and start calling it like an EQ? You know, when does that start happening? Is it because the filters have the resonance, you know, that has that element, and obviously EQs. I guess EQs have a boost, but not really.
I mean, I guess it would depend on how you're using it and how clean it sounds while you're using it. Would it be like an EQ versus a filter? But I feel like most of the time it's sort of doing a little of both.
Yeah, I don't think that matters too much. Sorry about that.
Oh, there we got the live commentary from
matters too much,
my answer.
Personally, I don't think that matters too much as far as.
Wait, what?
As far as
he dropped,
he left us hanging.
Really sad of filters.
Yeah, because I feel like you're kind of doing both.
Yeah.
Unless you're really using it to pull a lot of character and you're modulating it to move the sound and shape the sound itself, then it sort of crosses into a sound design thing versus an EQing. But if you're, I think it's a little of both generally. I mean, unless I mean,
the filter bank is not just an EQ, right? It has that ability to add maybe resonance and things like that. Although you can use it as an EQ. The one that I've seen, I looked at, is the Behringer. They have one. It's like $100. It has 12 dedicated frequency bands and then a low pass and a high pass.
Okay.
But it's pretty big. It's called the 914 fixed filter bank.
Yeah. So I guess that's what I mean. Just trying to like wrap my head around it more. So like, you know, filter can be used as the EQ, but you can't necessarily use your EQ as a filter all the time for that effect, right? Like, or maybe you can. Maybe there's like with
I mean, again, it just depends on what kind of sound
you're going for. Yeah.
I mean, like Alex was saying, you know, sometimes instead of throwing on an EQ8, I've done that too, you know, where you just use the Ableton filter, you know, and kind of high pass something out. But also then you can still use that to EQ something, but then you could throw an LFO on there, you know, and then it turns into not only are you pulling out, making room for another frequency, but then you're also shaping that sound as well, creating another sound, so they could be doing a little of both jobs.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love when throwing like envelopes in a filter, and then you have like two voices going. You know, you really could add some. You know, if you add that envelope on a different sequence, you can really get some cool, you know, play there. It sounds like two different voices playing at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, just super fun. Super fun.
I'm curious, Trovarsi, do you EQ or not EQ, filter like your drums differently than you do with your melodic? Like I'm curious about that, because I mean I know that you definitely decidedly make techno like most of the time. Like so I mean, given that, like I'm curious about.
Yeah, I have a filter on my clap, on my hats. I have a filter for
everything,
every separate. Yeah.
Nice.
Just because it goes back to shaping the sound, but also carving out that space, you know. So maybe I want the hi-hats a little more crispy, and maybe I want my techno clap to come down, sound a little more crunch, and bring down the harmonic to it. And I'll use a filter to do that instead, you know. And then, but then somebody in the chat mentioned the overseer, which is great because I like that. I like to play my sets like a DJ style, and that's the way I transition through my patches too. So the overseer is great for that. Like even those transitions, using that button and kind of doing like that drop out, like where you're pulling out the low end, you know, and you're like on the dance floor, and then let the sound come, and I'll use it for that, like on the master. Though I'll put the overseer on the whole mass end of the chain, you know, and then maybe kind of filter it in, like so, like thinking of it as like those 3 points of EQs, like on a DJ style mixer. So I use a ton of filters, but I try to like put a filter on each major sound, and like a filter like on the hi-hats only has its own special filter. And yeah, I don't know.
Is that in your performance case, like in a Eurorack setup, or is that a general statement when you record and you know, put something into more permanent form?
I guess for both. I mean, definitely for my Eurorack stuff, and that's because, well, I like the sound, and it's a way to not only switch up your hi-hats, but just like have a different clap pitches and hi-hat pitch sounds, and with using the same hi-hat or the same clap, you can get all these different types of claps or hi-hat sounds. And also because you're playing live, it helps me it does in a way do the EQ, or that job of tucking things in the mix, because when it's live, you know, things are kind of wild, and you don't really know if you're playing in a warehouse. Like I've played in warehouses where there's a lot of slap back, so I really need to be careful on those highs. And if I have filters on my hats, a filter on the clap, putting a filter on the whole thing, I can control that and tuck them in. Same way I would if I'm making a track, like, yeah, I'll shape it and kind of tuck it in the mix so that everything sort of sits well together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We lost Alex.
We lost him in a golfing cart accident.
Anyone, please.
It's competitive out there, it seems.
But I think like one of the things I love about Eurorack too is that like how two people can use the exact same modules and just get a whole different sound, you know, and filters really lend to that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But the high pass filter is something that I never really, until I really understood how to use that, the filtering was just always something, okay, yeah, there's a filter, right? I can take stuff out. But the using a high pass filter kind of staggered to free up these frequencies, even if you have sounds that have low frequency content, that just muddies up the other low frequency content. It is so important to have that. And sometimes I wish that, you know, I had more space in the rack that I could put more of those in my case, and if I use 104, that's limiting itself. But in a bigger kit, that's why I ask: are you doing that in a live case too? Because that is such an effective tool to get a good sound.
Yeah, and I use a 12U 104 case, and I would say like in there's at least 5 or 6 filters in there. Yeah.
How many?
Trovarsi.
I think Trovarsi I win on this one. I don't know.
It's not a contest. It's not a contest. But
maybe, I don't know. I know, David, you asked me that, and I was trying to count. I think I have 14 or 15 filters, but I'm not. I could have another one somewhere.
I love it. Yeah.
I just got new ones. I got the new WMD and the Bionic Lester, which
nice.
What's that? What's the Bionic Lester?
Razor's like the Bionic Lester. Pull it up on Modular Grid.
Oh yeah.
People can see.
Super slow on the. Bionic.
But while you're pulling it up, too, Lillian mentioned stereo filters.
Yeah.
Don't you have a stereo filter, Frae?
Yeah, I have the Patching Panda Moon Phase.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Stereo filter, and that's another reason why I was looking also at the Scalpel potentially. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a second here. Whoa, so you got which one do you have? The
MK3. I haven't plugged it in yet.
Well, we're gonna tell you what it does.
That looks amazing.
Yeah. Actually,
Very
that's
cool.
I did plug it in.
Presets.
I did. I've only used it a little bit. I have it patched right now.
Well, it's funny because you have 2 morphing filters right now, sort of thing, right?
And you can come together.
So this over here, I'm just highlighting Notch. I actually hit up Alex and William over at WMD because I recently got one of their old filters that's also like they don't make them anymore, but the Micro Hydro Collider, and it has a notch out. And I was like, what the heck's a notch out? And like I don't get it. Like I didn't know, I hadn't seen that before and other things. So I don't know, is anybody here mess around with notch out?
No.
Any y'all get down with notch out?
Not yet, but I'm open to the possibility.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like the opposite. Like when you're thinking about like a you just kind of like you can just take like a certain section, so kind of like a peak,
and
then you can kind of just take that very narrow frequency, and what you can do is you can throw your drums in there or something like that, and you can sweep it with like an LFO, and you get a cool like kind of phaser effect.
Yeah. What filter has it? I mean, I've done it with music. Use and do that when I'm mixing.
Well, your new Bionic Lester has one.
It does.
Has a nut. Yeah.
Like I said, I just plugged it in.
I see. We're here. This is.
You could probably do it with an aperture too. You set the band really narrow, and then you start sweeping that band back and forth.
That'd be a similar situation, and yeah, the Micro Hydro Collider has it as well. And I mean, the only way I learned about it was before I reached out to those guys was looking up some of the sound designer production stuff, because they have it. You can do it in Ableton or whatever. That's like an option. Yeah, you could probably design your own too as well. But that's an interesting.
Actually, you know what? When you did that, I realized that the Patching Panda has that.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like each little different mode has a different shape that is similar to that. So, and it's got like a circle of modes, and then it's connected to moon phases, and then also you can manipulate where the sound moves in the stereo field or where you place it. So it has a notch thing. I didn't realize I was notching until I looked at that, and then I just looked online. It was like, yeah, it's notch. So
that's cool.
I'm getting down with the notch.
bro?
I'm not, man.
That's that's
Not at
the
all.
worst
Even
T-shirt
notch,
ever.
bro?
Even notch.
So I've been notching. I didn't even realize
You've
it.
notching, yeah. Who
So
taught you how to
Stubby-
notch?
Yeah.
Stubby Facts in the chat says not just a reverse or band pass.
Ah,
Band pass passes all, notch removes all, or something.
okay,
Yeah.
then.
Or commonly known as this.
I mean, this is my language right here.
Oh, that's the notch
Right.
dance. That's
I
the
want
notch dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids on TikTok. There's your new challenge. Let's see your notch dance, or not. Please don't. Hey, Alex, I was just talking about. Hey, first of all, Alex, let's get an update on your score real quick. How are you?
Oh, it's bad.
It's bad. Are we not even keeping score? Is it that bad?
Yeah, it's bad. We don't keep score. We're all friends here.
He says that like friends don't like play games with scores.
Yeah, friends don't play games with
Friends
scores.
don't
Just like
play
Euro
friends
Rock
scores.
and music, it's not a competition. It's just hanging out. I'll tell you that I've lost 3 balls, and we're on the 6th hole. So yeah, not so good.
That's not so bad to if you consider that you're doing a live stream while playing.
Yeah.
So.
I was just gonna say 2 more things, and I should probably leave because I keep getting kicked off. But thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
The overseer, I heard you guys talking about earlier. I was just wanted to put in. I use that as a master filter, and then I also use it to filter the stereo mix of my sampler, which is the assimilator. And one thing that I'm looking for right now is samplers that have filters built in. Because everything we just talked about, right? Sometimes you just need something and you sample it and it sounds great, but man, it would just sound so much better if you could just take a little bit of the lows out or a little bit of the highs out.
Yeah.
So I tend to set my system up as strategically as I can, knowing, okay, I'm going to use this for bass most of the time. So it's probably good. And then this, I'm going to be putting pads and vocals and all sorts of things through. So make sure I put that through at least a high pass, if not through the overseer. And I always have at least one overseer on the master for those DJ effects, and then one on the mix out of the assimilators, just for anything I want to bring out of that. I can creatively filter that as I go.
So just a quick tip: the Bitbox has a filter built into into.
I know that's the next
Yeah.
thing I'm gonna try for sure.
DJ style filter too, which is kind of cool.
What's that?
It's like a DJ style filter, so you can even map it, so you can
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you could just slide it out and then
low end or highs out.
Yeah, you can control it with CV or MIDI, so it's pretty slick. So we're just talking about notch filters, but we're past that. We know what's up now. But but while you're here, real quick, Alex, before you bounce, I was just gonna I want to start talking about stereo filters real quick. What's going? Oh,
he's
that
like,
was it.
Oh.
But I mean, this is actually for everybody, really. I mean, I'm gonna take off this there. Let's share right this. So stereo filters. What's the deal with stereo filters? Everything's going stereo right now, right? And it's pretty cool. I like the idea. Like you mentioned the moon phase going stereo, and you're starting to see that more. In fact, I've gotten to a point now where I'm starting to get into what do I do with stuff that's just mono when I have stereo outs? How's that gonna, that's kind of changing some of the structure of the rack.
Alex did a demo of the Aperture at a meetup last year, and he said he used it to put program material through it, like samples too. Unfortunately, it's only mono, but that would be kind of a way to kind of have some of that material that's in itself not just one frequency band, but like complex, like samples, to put it into the mix a little better. Like he said, shave off some of the low end or some of the high end. And sometimes, so that the Plague Bearer, that filter that I talked about before, it is actually stereo. So you can put it at the end of the chain, and you can run the entire patch through it, and then just screw with that. And that's you know, that's pretty cool.
The Q-Pass too.
Oh yeah.
Is that stereo?
Yeah, it's stereo.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
That's a great filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I have the BIA running through it right now. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Yeah.
That's what's up, Alex? Yeah. He's good. I love it. I love he's in the cart. It's awesome.
At some point, we see him tumbling down some hill.
Yeah. We want to check your swing.
Caddyshack.
Be safe. Be safe.
Be safe. But yeah, I think there's a big push for a lot of things going stereo right now. So everybody's kind of mentioning some of their favorite stereos. So I think the first time I saw a stereo was in that Morpheus, and that felt like pretty new and pretty wild. Yeah. Sweet.
Cool.
Looking at
Alex. I'm waiting for Alex to say. Alex, can you still hear us?
I keep feeling like he's gonna jump in.
It's breaking up a lot.
He looks so happy though.
He looks so happy.
Smile.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check out the Morpheus.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We hear. We did, and now we can't.
Now we can't.
Nope.
Get closer to the flagpole. Maybe you'll get a stronger signal.
It's the microphone button. It's like lagging. I'm having a hard time. Everything's kind of starting to cut out, which stinks. So I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. You're in the back nine. I understand. That gets a little. It's tough to get a signal back there.
Yeah, it's been super
We're all
fun
just
hanging out.
making pictures.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, for sure.
sure.
So I'll get out after this, but what I'm going to say about stereo is that, we're starting to do a lot more mixes. So that's why a lot of more stereo stuff's coming out. People are also super into the idea of like making weird sounds in both ears, and stereo's kind of where that's at. And there's more stuff for stereo voices, like we talked about earlier, and more stuff for the master. So, but you can use anything for anything and just have fun. That's the thing to remember. Just have a good time.
There it is. That's awesome. Yeah, that's good advice. That's actually something I wanted to also ask everybody. What is the best advice for someone buying their first filter? I know we see this all the time in all the groups, in all the chats. People just getting started, like, "Hey, I'm going to build my set. What do you guys think of this?" Or which is the one that always gets a lot of fire. Like, what's your favorite? What's the best filter? Which is like, okay, that's not gonna be. No one can really say that one's better than the other when it's all about taste. But I think it's still fair enough to say, like, what do you tell people when they're out filter shopping for their new Euro rack?
I mean, I would say like get like either a high or low band pass or low pass filter, high or low, and just experiment with a basic patch, just using those sounds and starting to get used to what that shaping sounds like, and then build from there. Because I feel like some of the filters that are more boutique-y, that do a lot of multiple functions, might not be very clear in the beginning about like the basics of what a filter can do. That's just my advice.
I agree. I mean, I guess it would depend too on like, is this somebody that's new, like, to modular, or I mean, like in the sense of like they don't know how to patch or the concept, like, or is it somebody who's maybe been using VCV rack and kind of understand, and now they're actually going to make a purchase? Because that's very different too.
It's actually 4 people and one of each.
Oh.
No, I mean, well, but yeah, I
like maybe I would say, I guess it really just depends, like, because there's filters out there that are like digital like filters that but maybe it's somebody who doesn't have a lot of money and they can only buy like really invest in one good filter.
Yeah.
So maybe look at a filter that has like different modes. Like I think there's like the Volt filter and it has like the MS-20 filter in it. It has like these other filter replications in it. And they were able to try all these filters and they have, you know, the low pass, band pass, high pass, but that's just an example. So I guess it would really depend, and maybe then it just really depends on what type of music they're making too, and what kind of filter you would.
That's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
From that point of view, like a first filter, my first filter technically, I got two firsts: Aperture, which I won, thanks WMB, in a raffle at the meetup. But the Filter 8, Jura Analog Filter 8, is fantastic because it has high pass, low pass, band pass, and then a bunch of more esoteric ones. You can resonate it and make it an LFO, and it is so flexible. I find that I don't need a whole bunch of other filters because that filter can just do so much. But to Frae's point, I think that's where David was talking before about the mutable instruments ripples. I think that to me was always one of those filters that I really wanted because it was so simple and, you know, classic in that sense that it did one thing or even a few things, but it did them really well, and it sounds just great.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the ripples because I feel like when I first got into it, everybody had one. You know, I feel like I saw it in so many racks.
Yeah, that's why I didn't buy it.
Well, that's funny. I mean, that's what happened.
I mean, not to be like, you know, just because it's just such a sound that I don't know. I wanted to buy other things that other people.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
The wasp filter is similar too.
Yeah.
When I started looking at stuff, everybody had a wasp filter, and you know, it had a certain sound.
My first filter was a wasp filter, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it taught me about filters, but it did teach me about the wasp filter.
I mean, I really like that filter. I mean, I think that's really like a solid filter. It's a great size. It's only 4 HP. And yeah, I think it's a great filter.
Which one is that?
The MMF, which now I think now, you know, have the carbon, but back, you know, with the MMF, I still use those. I have 2 of them. I use them all the time. It's a great filter.
That was
I think one aspect of a filter is also there is the set and forget, right? Where you just put it into high pass and you dial it into the frequency you want, and you never touch it again. And then you have things like, for me, the Aperture is just so playable too, you know, with the feedback knob and all those things that and even the Jura Analog, I find myself just playing the filter so much during a patch, that, you know, some of these filters might be more just for setting and just letting it do its thing without even putting a lot of modulation in it. Although you can here.
Yeah.
You can ping it too, which is.
Yeah, that's a question too about pinging, which I'll ask in a second. But I think like for as far as advice going, I think there are these filters like the MMF as an example. There's other ones that also have multiple, like the low pass, band pass, high pass. And they're definitely like great to kind of get because then you can kind of experiment and get an idea of like what you want to use, whatever. But my advice is to buy a used one. Whatever you do, start off with a used one because you could end up like Trovarsi and own 14 to 15 that she knows of. You know what I mean? It's easy. I feel like one of those things is once you start getting into filters, you could totally see why you would want to buy another one and another one because they have so much flavor. You know,
I use them though. I mean,
no, I'm teasing a little bit, but you use them, which is awesome. But like, I could totally see like why you'd want to like have some at the ready for certain sounds or certain feelings. But yeah, no, the MMF is great. But yeah, it does have a ping. Does anybody know how to use a ping with their filter?
Yeah, you set the Geranalog has a ping input too, and what I do is it makes fantastic kick drums. So you set it to that, to turn the resonance to it. There's actually when you pull, can you pull that one up?
Yeah,
it actually has a marking on the resonance knob that you set it to, and it's just on the edge of self oscillation at that point in time. It's that resonance knob. See that little
itty bitty right here.
No, but yeah, the one above that. It's between 3 and 4 o'clock. There's that little marking.
Yeah.
I never understood what that was until I read the manual, but that's what you set the resonance to. And then you sweep the frequency to what you want. But then when you hit the ping, it really gives you that kick drum sound where it really excites the filter beyond the resonance point. And then it just, it sounds fantastic. You can go really low with that too. And
yeah, this thing's jam-packed. This is probably not the one I'd recommend right off the bat for somebody getting into it who doesn't know what they're doing. But if you want to grow into something, I could totally see like this has so much.
Yeah, I see jump in.
That's what I was talking about. Like, I'm always like, do I want to get this? Trovarsi's like, get it. Do it.
Yeah.
Jump in.
This one, and the cool thing about this,
like, get the Schwayman filter. They should get Schwayman.
That's who has it? Does anybody have a Schwayman filter?
I want the QMMF4, but that's a dream,
I know.
Yeah.
The cool one more thing about the Filter 8. The Filter 8 has 2 inputs, which is really useful because you can feed 2 signals at once in it, and it's a 2 inputs, but then you get a mono output. So it's not a stereo filter, but it can mix 2 signals and then put it through the filter, which I find I use that a lot. Plus, it lets you actually do feedback. So you can use one input and then take the low pass out or whatever and put it into the other input, and then do some feedback patches. That sounds pretty cool too.
There are a couple that do have 2 inputs as well. Back to the Morpheus. Morpheus is also, you can also put 2 inputs. You don't have to put a stereo in. If you don't want to, you can just put 2 of them in there. And let me show you guys this real quick because this is wacky. The micro collider also has 2 ins, and then you have a 3rd in, technically. So the first 2 ins you can mix together and have different levels on the first side of the VCF, and then the second one has another in. So technically, you can put all 3 of them in there, and you could again run it in series, or you can run it in parallel. And then you have an additional mix on top that you can kind of go back and forth on depending on, how crazy you want to get. And then, of course, you can always do attenuation here.
Nice.
But that stuff's like, it's wild stuff. It's like you will get something out of it that you just wouldn't get. And I'm not saying you have to buy a dual VCF, but really like messing around with 2 filters at once and seeing what it's like to like mix them and put them in series, or slam them together in another VCA or something. It's really worth trying out, because a lot of the cool things about these cool filters is that they do a lot of stuff without having to have more modules to do that. But the reality is, if you have a couple WASPs and a couple VCAs, and you have either your LFOs or envelopes, you can kind of create that structure too. It's just a hell of a lot harder a lot easier to do when you can get a module that can do it in less than 8 HP or so, for sure. But it's fun stuff.
So what's the deal with Schwayman anyway?
Yeah, what's the deal?
Gerald said that he's going to buy one.
Yeah.
He's going to report back. It's for science. So
It is. It's for science, and we should respect that.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I don't have. Oh wait, are you still on the Schwayman?
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just saying. I mean, it was a question, right? Is it just the boutique factor? You know, I don't know. I mean, it's the outrageous prices for it, but does it do something? I mean, it's a big module. I looked it up. That QMMF4.
It's like four filters on there.
It's 4 filters.
Mm-hmm.
Why can I not see it? How do you spell Schwayman? Is that SCH?
It's CWEJMAN.
I'm on the S's. Someone help me here. Oh. Which one are we talking about?
QMMF4. Oh, there's an MMF2. There it is.
This little one? This little itty bitty thing?
Yep, that's it.
How darling.
So petite.
Yeah. That's like the control center filter. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. A lot of notch. So you can notch out.
I mean,
notch, bro. It notches.
It notches, bro.
It notches, bro.
It notches, bro.
I'm never gonna look at Notch again the same way.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, look at all the control on that filter. I mean, it does look pretty amazing. I mean, is it worth? I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah, let's think about it.
First of all, it's overpriced because people. I don't know if they even make it anymore or whatever, but you have to find them used, and if you do, people are selling them for like triple the price, which sucks. But even if you think about the base, I mean, and you divide that by 4, I mean, it's not like you're that.
Well,
I cut off. No, about filters. I mean, if you divide it, like think about how much you spend per filter. I mean, I don't know.
I see your math. I see your math.
Where you going with that, but like, yeah, I mean that's like $450 per.
See, someone said you can filter all of the things, like exactly.
You do. You definitely can. But yeah, it's still you're still like around $450 for that. No, you know what? The thing is, like, I can never tell anybody like that's not the filter for them or whatever. Like that's gotta be like someone's perfect tool. It's a tool, right? And it might not be expensive to somebody, you know.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Like you said, do the math on that. I mean, you're
definitely, paying for a cool structure there, and it looks cool. Yeah, it looks like it would do.
Girl,
yeah,
I think you should get it.
Yeah, I think you should get it.
There we go.
I'm gonna visit you in Colorado, and we're gonna jam and use it.
Yeah, we can collectively get one. Yeah,
Gerald's gonna get one for us.
There we go.
Yeah, well, the thing with Gerald getting it doesn't mean we get to use it. I mean,
that's I thought was the deal.
Oh well, we'll have to figure that out. We'll have to have a little conversation about that for sure. Oh no, that's awesome.
There was a module that I don't have, and I know Trovarsi is going to tell me to get it, but I've always been curious about it. Speaking of like maybe an intro module or something with a lot of functions in it, the disting, which has like a ton of filter kind of stuff in it. Does anybody use that?
No.
The disting.
I have a disting. I've never used the filters.
Okay.
Never? Not even not even curiosity?
No, not.
It notches, bro.
It notches.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I should try it. No, it usually does something else, like a sample and hold or a quantizer or something like that. I've never found. I think I tried the VCO once, but it's also. I know it can do a lot. I should maybe try. I think it now has also like a DJ style filter.
I don't know. I thought Trovarsi gave it the hand. What's that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, but I do have a question. So each function, you can only use it for the function that it's set to. I mean, I know it has tons of functions, right? Yeah. So I guess maybe in that sense, it could be like a good utility. I personally don't have one.
I don't either, but I've wondered about it.
I've looked at it, but I have not picked one up.
Yeah.
I know like Shiro, voltage controller. I think he uses like 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah.
I know people love it.
Right?
Have it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's digital. So
Right.
I mean, whatever that means. I'm not
Whatever
saying it's not working or whatever, but I've never found that I went to the disting for a filter.
Someone in the chat, Aaron, said the disting DJ filter is pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the
BDO size too. What is it, like 4 HP? That
one?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the new one that they just came out with, the
super double?
And that's just like double the. Yeah.
Well, it's double. It has some features that
work, so they both kind of
work to work together, and it's more powerful that way.
Yeah, so I think it has a bigger processor, so for the future it can do more. It has a better display.
Yeah,
I think it says double the I/O.
Yeah, it's just more powerful. It has a couple functions special to it. But yeah, I mean the whole thing with not the whole thing, but like a thing with the disting is obviously like it can turn into anything. So if you needed an extra filter and you're not using it for anything else, there you go. You got one. And sometimes like I'd be curious to hear what it sounds like. So I mentioned the Bitbox has a filter. I haven't really gotten like a lot of flavor from that filter, but maybe there's something it does that's going to be unique to it, even though it's lacking a normal characteristic. Because sometimes
I like the filters on the Bitbox. I've used the Bitbox and the Bitbox Micro.
Yeah.
But they're just like, it's like I use it as a DJ style. So like as you're like filtering in the bass line, or like
that's good.
Use it for transition stuff.
That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome.
Pretty much, yeah. Like those like Korg Nano controllers and just map the sliders. You know what I mean? Right. And so that way, or in the little knobs, so that way you have control over all your little tracks or squares or whatever they're. You know what I mean?
The cells, yeah. I mean the parameters and all that stuff, yeah. There's a couple. There's so much stuff about filters on here that are amazing. One thing I love about filters, is the large knob. I love that. Like, you got these giant knobs. It's gotta be like fun to like be like designing one and going, okay, what's my gigantic?
Yeah, like.
Yeah, because it's like the one part of the like, really hands-on with,
Yeah, that's true.
This should totally make one with a steering wheel on. It's like, that'd be rad. I would buy that extension.
Pimp my filter.
It's exactly. It's a fuzzy wheel on there and
it will not.
hanging dice. Yeah. No, it's funny because I think that's why I was always looking at that ripples or whatever. But look at that Life Forms one. That looks great. That looks like it should be on a NASA. I love it. It's awesome. Yeah. And I know I never really messed around with the Erica Synth stuff. I don't know if it's not technically only Erica Synth that does it, but the Polyvox.
Polyvox. Crunchy, dirty, nasty.
You mess with that ever, Trovarsi? You get down with
Polyvox?
You even Polyvox?
No.
Frae-Frae, you got one of those? You play with one?
I have a Polyvox synth at my apartment in Siberia. I bought it over there, and it's crunchy and dirty sounding, and it's not Eurorack obviously, but it's an old school like Russian synth. I picked it up cheap over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get why that emulations probably want it. It's got like a lot of grit, as you mentioned.
Oh yeah, totally gritty. I love it. I mean, yeah, it's an acquired taste. I guess it's not for everybody, but I like it.
Yeah, I've always been interested in those. And I mean, I've always heard stories about the Soviet synths and stuff.
Yeah, the chips and stuff. The synth itself, though, like the keys are real plasticky. Like it's really not fun to play. It's not super playable to me. You know, it doesn't have any, like that's going to be the first thing that breaks. But the sound is just like, rah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is cool. Thanks everybody for jumping in here and talking about filters and stuff like that. Oh, this is the MS-20.
Yep. I built that filter.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good segue because I wanted to bring on Anna on about Synth Booth. So before I do that, I just want to say thanks everybody for talking to us about filters and stuff like that. We're gonna, we're gonna kind of wrap up the conversation here about filters, but
thanks, you guys.
But we're gonna keep talking. We still got another performance. We're gonna bring on Anna to talk about Synth Booth. But let's keep talking about filters. Leave your favorite filters or any questions you have about filters in the comments below, or hit us up on the forums. And if you're doing anything really awesome with your filter, or you want to show some kind of weird, strange way you're using your filter, or you want to show off just a cool filter, post it on Instagram and tag us. Use hashtag CMSS or just tag us, and I'll take a look at it and I'll try to repost some of those on our Instagram. So let's hear and see what you're doing for sure. Awesome. So Alex isn't here, but Alex is also going to be on Synth Booth, which is coming up. Trovarsi and Frae-Frae and Trovarsi are performing. I'll be on a panel and moderating one, and Alex will also be on the panel too. And so let me bring in Anna. Quick, hold on. There we go. Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, Anna.
Hey, Anna.
Hi. Great to see you guys.
You too.
Good to see you. So for everybody who's watching, if you've maybe seen some you've been hearing about Synth Booth coming up, Anna's the person who's behind it. She's been, helping organize that and putting that together. So with it coming up in, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, how many weeks? I feel like it's coming up pretty soon. On the 7th.
About 4 weeks.
Yeah, about 4 weeks. I think it'd be a good time to kind of check in and kind of learn some more about it. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So you want to give a little your spiel about what Synth Booth is for what, just in case anybody's watching and they don't know what it is or they've been wondering what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. So Synth Booth is a virtual event that is really created to provide a space for the modular synth community to connect during COVID, with a lot of live modular synth expos and conferences that were going to be taking place this year that were canceled. We were really hoping to create a space that would combine talks, performances, and actually a virtual expo for modular synth makers. So it's taking place completely online, October 16th through 18th. And it's going to be, as I said, a combination of talks, music performances, and an opportunity to learn about modular synth makers, but also to connect with them one-on-one. The great thing about this event is that it really creates a more interactive and dynamic experience for attendees. So not only are you able to watch content and connect with new people, you can find other folks who are also in the modular synth world and chat with them or schedule a video call so that you can still make those personal connections, which I feel like is so important for this event, and really helping people build that community internationally. We have 22 exhibitors from all across the world. We have 8 artists who will be performing, including Trovarsi and Frae-Frae, daughter of Drexia, as well as Annie and Dana Hafar and Akil Adam and Afrorak and the Galaxy Electric. So we're really excited to have a really exciting lineup of musicians who are incredibly talented, And then Trovarsi and Frae-Frae are also on our panels as well. And Frae-Frae is going to be talking about synths and social change with Emmy Parker and Leah King. So we're really excited for that session. And Trovarsi will be on our panel with David as well, talking about, you know, building your modular synth community and really finding all those ways to find your community, but also to take advantage of some of the organizations out there who are doing a lot for the synth world and putting on talks and performances and providing education. So we're really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm super excited about it, and I love all the performances that you have lined up there, and the talks look awesome. And this is like a different platform, so can you talk a little bit about like what's the difference between this and this our YouTube kind of style?
Yeah, absolutely. So the event is taking place on an interactive web and mobile app. So you can either join from your computer or from a mobile phone. And from there, you can watch all of the talks and the performances, but you can actually, you know, favorite the sessions that you want to attend to create your own personal schedule. You can submit questions for the talks. So we'll actually have a live Q&A going on for those. And then the other really cool of it is the virtual expo. So there's a virtual expo hall, and you can see all of the exhibitors and pop into their booth to learn more about their company, to see featured products. Some of them will be doing live stream demos right in their booth, so you'll get to see them kind of share some of the features of their products. And then you can actually meet their team. So you'll be able to see who from the company is there. You can chat with them or request a video call. So there's a lot that you can do. And then the ability to connect with other attendees is really a huge feature as well. You know, you can send you know, chat requests or schedule a video call. And then there's also going to be a community chat room, and we're going to be doing some polling on social media to see, you know, what topics are most important to everybody, so that people kind of have a chance to chime in, talk about, you know, DIY projects, talk about, you know, your favorite gear that, you know, you're just coveting right now, or, you know, sharing music. It's just a really great way for people to just get to know each other and have that more personal and face-to-face interaction, even though we can't be there in person.
Right, right.
Cool. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And you know, I can't wait to see the performances too. So you got some really great performances.
Yeah. And then we also have a keynote by Suzanne Ciani, which we're very excited about. You know, she is just an incredible person and pioneer within the modular synth space. And we're really excited to have a woman keynote as well, and really be able to showcase some of her work and kind of how she has been involved specifically with the Buchla format from its early incarnations, and kind of how it's evolved over the years, and kind of what that's meant to her, and how she's still utilizing the system, and how it's kind of developed from, you know, where she started to today.
That's awesome. That's right. Yeah. Super, super, super cool. That's again, that's October, 3 days, right? So
yeah, it's 2.5 days. So the first day is we have a couple of performances, and kind of kicking off with a happy hour, which will be fun. We'll be able to have people on screen, and, you know, be able to meet people and kind of break out into smaller rooms so they can have meaningful conversations and really get to know folks and have a little bit of fun before we dive into the full 2 days of the conference.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Trovarsi, you got your set ready? You ready? You know what you're gonna play?
Well, I started patching.
You already started patching?
Yeah.
Frae, you got yours too?
I started messing with it a little bit. Yeah, setting up some ideas.
That's gonna be cool. Yeah. Oh, Trovarsi hit the wrong button again.
Yeah.
We've been missing all
I'm
the
really
fun
excited because it just kind of brings, I don't know, a different approach to virtual events, and being able to really have those performances be more interactive, and people can ask questions, and we'll have people follow up after the sets as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it for sure. It's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to perform. I'm excited for the panels. Sorry, I was looking at the performance for the live stream right now, so my apologies. But no, I have some ideas of what I want to do, but I'm not. I'm in the works for it, but I got some plans, so I'm excited too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to give you a shout out about the lineup and what you've done there. It's a really nice, diverse lineup, and I think it's really representative. And I just think that's cool that to see that. And it's been awesome, with After Frequency Shift to keep seeing more and more females on, getting more stage time and stuff like that. So kudos to you for coming up with a really nice, diverse lineup there.
Thanks. Yeah, in addition to having a variety of musical styles, it was really important to us to feature women and people of color on the performance lineup, and as much as possible in the panels as well. It's something that matters very much to us, and we feel like if we have the opportunity to create a platform for sharing any level of visibility for these really talented artists, I feel like it's an honor.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it. And Frae, I'm totally looking forward to your panel for sure about social change in the synth community for sure.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we'll drop a link to the site, or if you guys everybody can just be savvy enough to look up synthbooth.com. We don't have to wait for that link to drop. I trust everyone can do it. Yeah, definitely go check it out and pick up your tickets. And looking forward to seeing everybody in there.
One other thing I just wanted to mention. So right now we actually have a contest going on social media for getting entered to win free tickets. So if you check out our Instagram, there's a post that says if you tag a friend and mention the hashtag synthbooth, then you can be entered to win free tickets also. So just a heads up for that.
Yeah. All right. Go get a free ticket. Do it. Yeah, that's awesome. For sure. So follow the IG and everything else. We'll put that in the link as well. For sure. Awesome. Well, thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Aha. Yes. Rad. Looking forward to that for sure. Yeah. It's been fun to just build this community up with everybody, and to keep seeing familiar names in the chat and familiar names in the squares here. So it's been awesome. That's rad. I think we're gonna try to play the last video of the music guest, and so let's see. Should I try first, or what do you think, Trovarsi? Do you have it? Is that possible, or?
Yes. There's somebody's asking in the chat about what the event is doing to mitigate streaming issues. I think from what I know that it's being streamed through the specific app.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
so
solid. Go ahead.
No, so this is live streaming, right? A lot of the platforms that we have tried that we're using to do live streaming have issues, and there's always the potential for technical issues. So we apologize for that. The way to avoid technical issues like this is not to live stream. There's always things that we can do better, right? And we realize that, and we're going to look into what the problem was that we had before. But I appreciate the question, but realize that this is a volunteer operation that we're doing, and we're doing our best to to get the community, keep the community together.
I think what he was asking more for was for the synth booth.
Yeah.
You're charging for for tickets and things like that.
Oh, for the synth booth. I thought he was asking about our show here that went flawless today.
No, you guys rock.
No.
Is Anna still in? Is Anna still in the room? Did she leave?
Yeah, I can bring her.
Bring her back in. I apologize.
Yeah, that's a really.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Anna, we had a question for you.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so the platform that we're using, it's not a platform like YouTube or something like that. It's actually a virtual event platform that connects with the live stream. So all of it's viewed from the platform itself. And we're working to find the best possible stream solution for the talks as well as for the performances, because we know that can be a big challenge. And our goal is to have a lot of live content. So that we are working to get those safeguards in place to make it as clean and as clear as possible, with the focus specifically on audio for the performances, and video as well. But it's something that we're actively working on right now.
Yeah, I hear it. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, there's a lot of new ground here. Like they didn't. I mean, with the exception with a few people we've heard about, like in the works making stuff for live performances of a lot of these tools and platforms were made for conferences and talking, and not for fidelity. And there's also like the whole thing of like trying to make it available. You gotta have that balance of like, we want to have it available for everybody, but you don't want to have so premium and so expensive of a platform that nobody can afford to even do it. So
right, yeah, we're trying to keep it cost effective. Our goal is to make this a conference for everyone. So we have to cover some costs to put the thing on, and but we really want to make it accessible and easy to attend and remove as many barriers as possible. And we'll be doing a ton of tech checks and testing in advance to make sure that everything is looking clean and connected. It's hard with, I think everyone in the live stream space can attest to this, that, when you're working with people internationally and everyone's on their own internet connection, it can be a little bit tricky, but we're also working with people to try to make sure that they're connected to, directly to a hard line rather than using Wi-Fi. And, there are some kind of tips and tricks that we're working with people to test in advance to make sure that the stream is as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
I think that the one thing so I interpreted the question wrong. I thought they were talking about our setup here, but some of the things that I said, I think they still hold true. We have had quite a bit of experience in the last 3, 4, or 5 months with streaming, and there is technical issues that will arise, and what you can ask for is for the audience just to be patient, because I think what you just said makes it sound like to me that you will figure it out, just whatever comes up. And that's what you could just as somebody who puts on these shows like this stream here too, that we really appreciate for the people to stick around, be patient, and give you the chance to fix whatever issues arise, and just trust that you do everything you can to make that work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing maybe people don't realize how long you've been working on this idea. You've been working on it for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's been taking shape since early April, and we were kind of first looking at some of the talks and starting to shape the topics that we wanted to bring and make available to people, and starting to reach out to potential speakers. And so all of this has been moving along for quite some time. And we have, I think, 24 speakers and as I mentioned, 22 exhibitors and 8 performers, and it's no small task to pull something like this together. I'm actually in the process of building out the platform right now, so it's my hands are in every aspect of this event and really trying to make it a really great and seamless experience as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, I hear you. It's tough, you put a lot of time into this stuff, and you have a lot of variables, so.
At some point, there's only so much you can control, and we're doing our best to help make sure people are prepared and to prepare ourselves and from there, at some point, you're rolling with it to a degree, but I feel like we've been working on it for, as you mentioned, a long time and have it pretty dialed in at this point.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I hear you. The funny thing is, like, I come from like kind of a punk rock, DIY hip hop thing, and like this is all fancy to me. I'm like, you guys are lucky that we're even like, trying to do it. If I'd be doing that out of a garage. That's like cool. Just the idea of getting it out there is cool enough with me. So I appreciate everybody like, wanting to step it up. Definitely, putting your time and effort into trying to make it, sound as great as it can and do like stuff. But I mean, I think at the same time, I think we should all just realize that like there's so much going on in the world right now. There's just, there's so many things going on, and we have to like take a breath and go like, at least we have this. At least we have this with each other. So, and please don't, take that the wrong way. I love criticism. I love feedback. I love all that stuff. I love you.
It comes from Gerald.
So, yeah.
Gerald is criticizing us in the chat now, so that's.
Yeah, I see.
But we know where that comes from, right?
Yeah,
Gerald.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean it's all good, and it's part of the whole thing is you're gonna get feedback, and we want it to be a community, and not everyone's gonna say is gonna be like, and also we're looking at text, so whatever. So it's take that into account, but it's all good, I appreciate the challenge, and I know, Synth Booth is working on what they can do to make that happen. One of the reasons why I'm a big supporter of what they're doing is because they are reaching out, they are trying to fill a void that's not with everything being shut down and everything else, so take into account that like some of the things that shut down aren't doing online versions of it. They're just waiting till next year. Well, some of us just want to like still get together and still put together. So props for doing that. I think it's awesome, and I get it. And it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be rad. It's gonna be worth the price to pay to go in there. You're gonna support, an awesome thing, and this is just the first one, and you're gonna be really proud that you invested in the first synth booth, and you're gonna be proud you invest in any of these performances, because as it goes down the line, you're gonna be able to say, "Yeah, I remember when they used to rock that on the 56K modem."
Yeah, and I think everything can improve, and so we're excited to get the first one underway, and we'll learn and make the next one even better.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
awesome.
right. Yeah, you gotta start somewhere. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming back in.
Thanks. Bye.
Peace.
All right, bye.
All right, so let's put the money where the mouth is, and let's go ahead and try to do another. I'm just laughing. This is how crazy this is going to be. All right. Again,
All right.
thank you everybody for your patience and everything else. Let's try to check out Vino Malo's performance that he made for today. All right, Trovarsi, tell me when you got it up, and I'll switch a Rui. Let's see. Nope. Oh, she's got the. It's coming. It's coming. Wait for the drop. Oh, there we go. All right, here we go.
Hey.
Nice.
There we go.
Funky.
Yo,
Funky, funky.
Vino Malo.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So cool. For anybody who's not from Colorado or hasn't gone to Fort Greene for a frequency critique or patched out, like, yeah, like his sets are like awesome. They're always so live and awesome. So he's actually doing a stream every Friday night at 8 p.m. Mountain Time on his YouTube channel. Where him and his homie Paul City just play like outside their kitchen and just play techno for a couple hours and just
Nice.
freestyle like that. So it's always awesome.
Nice.
He's always got like kind of
What's his YouTube channel?
I dropped the link in the chat.
So be sure to check that out. And yeah, he's building up on that, and for sure, like I'd missed seeing him live. And we've actually got a chance to perform in the past together, which is fun. He's all good at improv as well. So I asked him a couple of questions real quick about like what he's using. So he's using the Carbon and the 100 grit for filters. That large module in the middle is the Odessa. So, yeah. It looks cool, right? I'm like, wow, what is that? Let's go towards the flashing lights. It's awesome. Yeah, like one of the reasons I also asked him to play was because he's one who showed me how to kind of use the Morpheus when I had the Morpheus. Definitely like one of those people who gets a lot of out of a filter and uses a lot. You could hear all the crazy stuff he's doing in there with creating all that cool soundscaping kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Odessa has that big knob.
Got that big knob.
That big knob. Hold on, my sister's calling me. Calling back.
I don't know if he's notching though. I don't know. I don't know if he's notch bro or not.
No, you even notch? No, I'm playing.
We'll ask him. We'll have to ask him. See what's up. Awesome. Well, yeah. I'm glad that video played and the audio came out. Again, apologies everybody for all the technical issues today, and I appreciate your patience.
We will do a proper retrospective on the events that occurred, a post-mortem, if you will.
We'll do a post-mortem of the show. We always do.
Never complain, never explain. Fuck it.
There it is.
No, there's but that's something that we always look into what's happening and how we.
Well, yeah, I think this is like we keep having to abandon platforms because they keep breaking on us.
Yeah, that's right. We break the platforms.
We break down. Yeah.
So
Trovarsi breaks BIAs. We break streaming platforms.
Ryoko breaks guitar pedal.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't break, then you're not playing hard enough. That's right. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, rad. So thank you everybody for coming to the show. Thank you, Trovarsi. Thank you, Frae-Frae.
Thank you guys. So good to hang out.
Yeah. Thank you everybody. Have a good rest of the Sunday, and we will catch up soon. We will have some updates about the next listening party event we'll be doing soon, hopefully in October, and then what we may do for the meetup in October. I have an idea that I can't wait to share with everybody soon as I tell everybody what I'm planning, including the people here. So, all right. Well, I appreciate it. Leave a comment. Thanks for subscribing and liking the video and following us on IG. You can also follow our website and sign up on there as well. Let us know if you have any ideas for themes or ideas, or if you want to play a show sometime. It's always good to let me know. We are always thinking of new ideas and new shows, so appreciate it. Be sure to follow Trovarsi and all the things she's doing. Definitely check the Faders Up episode that this was on with Frae-Frae on there. Awesome discussion. Watch out for what Frae-Frae's doing. And if you guys want to say anything before we leave.
Stay lifted.
What did you say? Oh, stay lifted. Yes. Nice.
Right.
Cool.
Cool. Right on.
All right. See you later.
All right.
See you later, alligators.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Take care.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.